Well, we said we would reconvene after the transfer portal closed.
Yes, we did.
You were stressed.
Stress is not stress. I was not stressed.
You were a little worried.
I'll
let you pick the word.
I was a little concerned.
Concerned, that's a good word.
Concerned.
I was not. I said, everybody calm down, take a deep breath, and let's play this out.
Okay.
Okay? I win.
Oh?
I win.
Why do you win?
I'm sorry, have you seen the roster that they built? Feel pretty good about it. Do you not?
That's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Okay, well, I was going to say we were going to do a thing where we give our top 5 impact players in the portal.
The thing is this is where we have to get, is that you have to understand that it's just a new day and age in college football. Like, the days of having the premier backup is no longer here. Mm-hmm. So the guys that you get out of the portal, okay, so Ohio State goes out and they're going to recruit these 4- and 5-star guys. They're going to develop them for a year, right? Well, the thing is, if they're not playing or they're not part of the rotation or not going to be the starters, they get a ton of value. Meaning, there's a team out there, like, for example, Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter. Those guys were not going to be, quote unquote, starters at the wide receiver position, but they were going to play. They were 100% going to be a part of the rotation. So do I stay here at Ohio State, or because I got developed by Brian Hartline, this is a great wide receiver development program, and I'm a former 5- or 4-star guy? You know how much money you can get for that and become a starter somewhere else? Notre Dame probably gave them a great bag to be the starter there. So there will be no day. The days of having that 4- or 5-star guy serve as a backup, it's just not going to be there anymore. And it's just, to me, you're leaning more on the development of 2- to 3-star guys. Or you have to go the Indiana route, where you go get guys that played college football for 6 years and come out there and let them play for you. So you're getting grown men out there, essentially. So to me, it's foreign to me because it's different.
That's fair.
It's not what I'm used to seeing.
That's fair.
I'm used to Ohio State having a bunch of talent. So when somebody goes down, it doesn't matter because the next guy that goes in there is just as good as the next guy. Those days are not here anymore.
Yes, they are. You are correct there. So if that is your thought process, 100%, this entire offseason really changed the landscape of college football, which is crazy to think, because even with last year's transfer portal, we didn't live in that world.
Correct. It was 2. So the thing is now it's 1. See, last year when it was 2, after the season was over, 1, you were in the national championship, so everybody was happy about that. 2, when you got to, so everybody skipped the January portal because I don't know what I'm going to be. Like, people had the mindset, like, am I going to play or am I not? Well, I'm going to wait until spring ball. If I don't play in spring ball, now it's time for me to go out there and get into the portal. Well, Ohio State did a wonderful job of mixing the roster up during spring ball. So, like, guys that was 2s played with the 1s, and guys that was 1 played with the 2s, and they just kept flipping them and flipping them and flipping them. So it really wasn't no guaranteed number 1s unless your name was Jeremiah Smith. So with that being said, kids thought to themselves, well, I'm playing with the 1s, so maybe I'm going to be part of the rotation. So they skipped the spring window. Now you got them locked for the rest of the year, and now you can really build your depth chart. It's not the right thing to do, but that's kind of what was going on, to where now it's only 1 transfer portal window. If you don't get into it now, you can't wait to see how the spring is going to play out. You don't know what's going to happen. So, like, people are just saying, I'm going to bet on myself and go somewhere else, and I don't like that either. They need to put it after spring ball. I think that's the best way to fix it. Put the transfer portal after spring ball, because guys will have some clear understanding of where they are on the depth chart and what they need to do to be better for their future.
I'll play devil's advocate there. I agree with you. The problem is you do it there, then a lot of these guys that do want to transfer are missing out on a developmental period that's massive, which is spring and winter workouts.
Yeah, so but they still got a training camp, fall camp.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, think about it. NFL, your rookies come in, they get a little bit, they get OTAs, and then they get
it's on
fall camp.
You're off and running. That's a good point. Okay. I want to look at the guys Ohio State did bring in. Mm-hmm. And I want to rank our top 5 most important pieces.
Okay.
You good for that?
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna get
Connor Hawkins.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's number 1. And I think there are a lot of people out there that completely agree with you.
Connor Hawkins, we got a kicker, baby. Yeah. Bang.
54-yard career long. You know the last time Ohio State hit a 54-yarder?
Drew Basil.
Not accurate. You have to go back to the George Washington era. No, I think you're right. Drew Basil, Nugent. It's been a long time. Okay, I'm going to start with my 5. My fifth. We're going to go back and forth.
Okay, so we're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because people like it that way.
Well, Connor Hawkins is 5 for me.
He's 5 for you? I thought he was. Well,
No, he's 5 for me.
Okay.
I just wanted to throw the name.
So you get to start. So there you go. Real quick, how important is that to add that kicker?
I think it's really important because, we kind of struggle a little bit in the red zone this year. And if you're going to struggle in the red zone, you better be able to make sure that you can nail those kicks. And I just think when you think about some of the games that we lost, missing field goals led to us eventually losing those games. Those were key points that we left out on the field, and they were in big critical situations. When you look at some of these big-time matchups, like Ole Miss kicker, like he was a weapon for them. Like they were very confident if it came down to him, he would drill a thing. So for us to finally have a guy that can do that, it makes you a little more relaxed when you get in that red zone because you're going to walk away with some type of points.
That's very important. All right, my number 5, I'm looking at Terry Moore out of Duke. I love that get by the Buckeyes. I think he brings in an element of calm. It almost reminds me of when they went and got IGB from Ole Miss, where it's like, okay, this is a senior guy. He's a guy that's going to come in on the back end. Now, IGB knew Jim Knowles' system, which was helpful as well. But Terry Moore, he's a veteran guy. Earl Little's good too, but Terry Moore, if he hadn't been injured, I think probably would be headed to the NFL right now. And so I think that gives that safety room a lot of calm. You pair that with McClain. I feel really good about bringing him in. Who's your number 4?
Number 4 for me, I'm going to stay right there in that room with you. I'm going to go Earl Little Jr. For the simple fact that I think he's going to probably play nickel here. I think that he's a really good playmaker, just kind of inconsistent when he was at Florida State. I think with the Buckeyes, that with Matt Patricia calling the plays, I think they'll scheme him up and put him in positions to be very effective around the football and be able to make some plays there. I think there's a lot of question marks at that nickel position. I think Jermaine Matthews is probably going to stay outside this year. He was the backup nickel this year. So I think it was a very important role that you feel being able to put him in, but I do like Terry Moore as well as an opposite safety.
At number 4, I'm going to the other side of the ball. I really, really like this get from LSU and Kyle Parker. I think it settles the wide receiver room down a little bit. I think there were a lot of people that were getting concerned when you lose Quincy Porter and Mylan Graham. Obviously, you've got your 3 guys. You've got Chris Henry, you've got Jeremiah Smith, and you've got Brandon Dennis. But what comes next, you want to have rotation in that room in a 16-game season. Kyle Parker's a guy that's going to come in. He's got speed. He's got elusiveness. I don't think he had the chance to show it at LSU as much as he would have liked. Now he comes here. I think he'll play a key role in getting in there and making some key plays throughout the season, not necessarily on a weekly basis, but filling a gap that you need in that room.
For me, number 3 will be John Walker from UCF. We need a trench play. I mean, that's, to me, honestly, when you look at the way that season ended, trenches was not that great there. I think that you're losing a lot of key guys on that defensive line. A lot of those edge rushers, obviously you get Kenyatta Jackson back, and Edric Houston, but to be able to have depth, especially in the middle of your defense, because that's where teams really want to be effective. If you're going to have these linebackers, that's not the old traditional linebackers that are 6'5", 240, 250. You're not going to have those guys. You're going to go with the more speedster guys that can go side to side. You need those guys in front of them to keep them clean, keep their jerseys clean. Don't allow those guards to push up to the next level, be able to eat up those double teams. So I love the fact that they was able to get John Walker from UCF.
I'll kind of build off of you there. I love James Smith out of Alabama. That's my number 3. I think he's an amazing talent, a guy that really, really helps shore up this defensive line room. You mentioned Andrew Houston. He's got to take that next step.
He does.
But when you look at this group, it now has the ability to be that kind of core that you need going into a season. It doesn't feel – last year we had a lot of questions about depth on the defensive line, and they played great all year. They ended up with an All-American in Caden McDonald. Caden Curry looked great. But you really want to be able to rotate a couple guys in. I think James Smith gives them a massive piece up the middle there, especially when it comes to run stopping.
I went number 2 for me. I went with Qua Rasol, edge rusher from Alabama. To me, when I watched the film, he kind of reminds me of an Arvell Reese. He's a guy that's he plays linebacker, but he's a stand-up edge rusher as well. Very athletic, can really run a ball down, can come off the edge and blitz him, and is a good tackler as well. So I'm not saying that he's quite Arvell Reese, but I can see the potential with a Matt Patricia defense that he'll be able to do some similar things that he did with Arvell Reese with Rasol.
All right. Well, our number 2 is the same. I'm very, very excited. I think if you go watch I think you nailed it. I don't know that I need to dive into it. He does present an opportunity to move a guy around, get him off the edge, and really create chaos for the quarterback, and that is what we saw work so well last year with this defense. I'm very excited to see, because he obviously has potential. He obviously played really well at Alabama, but he has a chance to take that next step, much like we saw Arvell Reese do. And I think in that regard, it could be very dangerous for opposing offenses.
If he's anything like Arvell, it can get scary. And I just think, because Arvell to me was a good player, but Matt Patricia truly unlocked him.
Yes, that's a good way
to
put it.
So I'm hoping that same thing can happen with Rasal as well. That he get with Matt Patricia, and Matt Patricia just understands how to utilize him and makes him become the really dominant defensive player.
He also seems just a one step faster than Arvell, which I think creates, and Arvell's quick.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, Arvell's quick. I just thought that he looked a little more.
He's a little more athletic.
Athletic that's kind of how athletic.
Yeah.
I mean, Arvell, listen.
That's what I'm saying. Arvell
top
is
5 NFL pick. He's amazing. There's just and there's things Arvell has. I mean, Arvell's bigger than him. You stand next to Arvell. I understand why opposing quarterbacks don't want to play that man. So
my number one, I went with James Smith for the simple fact that you're losing Caden McDonald, and Caden McDonald was probably the most essential piece in this defense. I know you hear Arvell Reese, you hear Caleb Downs, but I'm telling you right now, when you got a defensive tackle that can do the things that Caden McDonald did, that really makes a difference on defense. And I think you have to find a way to replace that. I think you got Kenyatta Jackson back. Hopefully he takes the next step and he becomes a dominant pass rusher like a Caden Curry. You got Rasal to replace Arvell Reese. That Caden McDonald is the one that I don't want to underestimate. And James Smith is going to be a guy that's going to be closer to that. He does a great job of eating up double teams. But what I really like about him the most is that he does an amazing job matching the quarterback's hand. He gets PBUs, and I promise you as a defensive back, there's nothing better than seeing a guy be able to stick his hand up, not get all the way to the pass rusher, stop, get his hands up and knock the ball down, because it's going to kill those drag routes, those short routes that those corners might not be able to stick with guys on that can go for 10 to 15 yards after they catch it. To knock those passes down is going to be highly effective, and he does a great job of doing that.
All right, my number one, it's kind of out of left field, but I like Welsing out of North.
I knew you was going to say that.
I like Welsing.
I knew you was going to pick the tight end.
I think we are living in a world where Ohio State likes to use the tight end, and that's a good thing. That's a modern world of the NFL. It's a modern world of football. Welsing is a really good talent out of Northwestern. His commitment was kind of slept on because everybody wanted stuff on defense. They wanted, a kicker, but he presents so many opportunities for this Buckeye offense, especially losing Max Clare. I feel like he quiets down. You lose Max Clare, you lose Jelani Thurman, you quiet down that tight end room and kind of give it a solid piece. I'm excited to see how Welsing fits into this offense. Obviously, we have to wait to see who the new offensive coordinator is. I don't think we'll see as much tight end utilization, but I also think there's a world. I look back at the Clemson game. I always did in 2020.
When we beat Clemson?
Yes.
Okay,
and the Buckeyes, the first 2 touchdowns were tight ends. They utilized the tight ends. Jeremy Ruckert was so good in that game.
Yes, he was.
And I think you have to get back to that a little bit, making the tight ends receivers first, but not necessarily always playing 14, 15, 17, 18 personnel.
I think that the utilization of tight ends is good. To me, it really matters what your offensive line is, to be honest with you. Because if your offensive line isn't that strong or isn't that good, you have to utilize 2 tight end sets. Why? Because you're trying to make a defense misfit things. If you got a good offensive line, you can come out and keep them spread it out, run the ball, spread the defense out and run the ball up the middle, because your offensive line does a really good job of pushing up to the next level. If those guys aren't able to do that and they're constantly getting beat, now you have to attach 2 tight ends to the set. Why do you do that? Because it spreads the defensive line out, and now it makes those guys have to really figure out what gap they have to fit. If you misfit your gap, that creates a seam, and those running backs are able to take it for a 50, 60-yard gain. So I think that hopefully our offensive line is strong enough this upcoming season that we don't have to utilize 12, 13, 14 personnel sets. We can get it done in 21, 10, 11 personnel, maybe even a little 12 personnel like that. But if they got to do it, hopefully that they have a much more success than against some of these better teams than they did this past year, which that offensive line, again, it was a lot of moving parts. I wish they would have made the change in the second half earlier in the first half.
Make the change in the break.
Yeah, maybe we have a different result, because in the second half against Miami, that offensive line was able to do some things.
I think it's very interesting and very telling that they did not bring in an offensive lineman. They like the personnel that they have here. They got a lot back. Sareveld coming back is massive. Luke Montgomery's great. Carson Hinsman's great. I really like these guys in individual pieces. Now you've got your first full off season with Tyler Bowen to really build this unit and see what it becomes. I also think that they're probably a little scared to spend money on an offensive lineman after they spent money on Ethan Onyanwa, and that was like buying a sports car and crashing it off the lot. It didn't really get your return on the investment.
It's like getting your cable turned on and then losing your remote.
There you go. That's about a good way to put it. He is Tyvis Powell. Tyvis, the next time that they see us, hopefully we're talking about an offensive coordinator.
We'll see. It might be Ryan Day.
It might be. That's
Bless
a first.
you.
Thank you. I thought we'd make it to the end. I've been fighting it for like 3 minutes. I almost made it to the end. All right. He is Tyvis Powell. I'm Adam King. Thanks for watching. Keep it on TED TV, TED TV Plus, and 97.1 The Fan for all your Buckeye coverage.